Great, thank you. All right, please share. Please share live stream. Please share to your groups and stuff.
Okay, we'll share. Please share. What are we? We're on Facebook Live right now. Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Facebook Live, but I need people to share so people actually see it.
Facebook Live.
TV, yes.
Cool. Now, are they going to let you in? It was invitation only. I guess you're a reporter, so yeah.
I doubt they're going to let me in.
I know. Hey, Joe.
I'm on the way out.
Yeah, we'll get him on the way out. Oh, nice shirt. You know who's great to talk to about why she's here? Carla over here is a retired teacher. She's got some good stories, and so does Ray. Ray, you want to talk about the medical tax deduction? Yes.
You got plenty of time.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, yeah. Or everybody, really. Oh, yeah, we do. We got a good crew. Yep.
Thank you. I'll get your story. I'll get your story.
Basically, it's private property, but the town owns this. Bayville owns this. This isn't a private entity.
Democracy, no.
Consider sharing this, please. I'm live streaming. Consider sharing it to your groups.
Oh, good to see you come. Where are you from?
I'm Citizens Media TV on Facebook.
Jody Stewart. I'm from New Jersey Organizing Project. Thank you for coming out. We truly appreciate it. We're out here protesting and letting them know how we feel about them cutting the salt, where we can no longer do deductions. And also one of my pet projects is Medicaid. Don't take it from us. There are many adults, I believe it's 34,000 in Ocean County alone, who will lose our Medicaid just because they need to cut it to give corporate tax breaks. We can't do it anymore.
They say it's all, for the middle class.
Absolutely. I just met someone yesterday who's a senior citizen who said it is until I explained what the SALT meant. No state and local tax deductions anymore. And we need that. You're double dipping on us. We can't take it. The middle class is dying as we speak. So that's why we stand here.
So who's coming here today?
I believe Ivanka's coming today. And I know MacArthur is coming today. I'm here to show Ivanka, who swears she's here for the little people and the Democrats, what they're doing. She's supposedly one of his senior advisors, his daughter. Let's see if she pays attention this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What group are you part of?
I'm with the New Jersey Organizing Project. We're out of West Creek, but our group is from Atlantic City to Union Beach. We were started by 9 Sandy survivors to try to get all the survivors home. Now we've just expanded to battle more things. Economic security and dignity, and also the shorekeepers trying to restore our shore.
Are there other groups involved today?
Yes, there is, and if you'd like, you can go right down there and speak to them. They'll gladly talk to you.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Should have done that right in the center so you got everyone behind
Well,
you.
that's okay. You'll get down to everybody. The woman with the gray hat is my director, Amanda.
Excellent. Thank you.
Point Road.
Do me a favor, verify that you can hear. Could you verify that you can hear this? Can you, my live stream. I'm live streaming now. And there's no way for me to know if my audio is okay.
Okay.
And it would be helpful.
Okay. I'm like, that was like Chinese to me.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so you want me to go on Facebook?
Please.
I can do that.
Then to Citizens Media TV and just take a listen for a moment and see if you can hear. Probably a big delay. But...
Citizens Media TV comes right up. Look at that. What are you doing out on a weekday?
Thank you.
Yeah, you got to give me one of those silver signs.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
Anyone want to pass with a sign?
I'm not hearing anything yet. I'm not hearing anything right now.
I got my volume all the way up.
Oh, you're not in it.
Oh.
You are so good.
All right, so knowing you, testing. Can hear it. Thank you very much. Consider sharing it.
There you go. I can share it to New Jersey Satisfaction, right? Share to...
Love it. We're very salty. If you post on Twitter, make sure you use hashtag NJInSalty and no tax scam.
Hey.
Hey, what's up?
Are you waiting for people to talk to you?
Hey.
There's plenty of time. Plenty of time.
Sorry.
I've got serious student debt that I'm worried about with the deductions. I have. This is a picture
When
of
you're
me
done?
when I pay off my loan. Yeah. I don't imagine that I'll be able to pay it off anytime soon. I have about when I started college, I took out a $20,000 loan. I didn't have access to good credit. I'm a young person, and so that's really hard to get at my age. And I didn't qualify for federal student aid because I wasn't technically considered an independent at 23. Because in New Jersey, you have to be 24 to be considered an independent from your parents, even if you live on your own. So I had to take out a loan. I didn't realize how bad it was going to be, but it's at 10% interest. And so by the age of my loan, it's going to be $80,000 that I have to pay back. So I really do depend on that student debt deduction because it really helps me pay the bills. I have a hard time paying my rent as it is.
That seems like an extraordinary interest rate.
It is an extraordinary interest rate.
I know that I was very low, but I had like a 2% interest rate, which I know was low, but 10% seems exorbitant.
So private loan institutions, they really are like loan sharks, right? They pull people in.
That's like a credit card.
Yeah, there's no other options for students that are my age who are independent, living on their own, and don't have the support of their parents. And I only qualified for student federal aid after I turned 24, and so even though I'm doing okay now with loans, like my loans are really low because they're coming from the federal government, my private loan it's overwhelming, and I'm already really afraid. I've already calculated that I'm going to have to pay back about $800 a month in order to pay it off by the time that they want it paid off in 15 years. So it's really overwhelming, and I'm already having a hard time paying my rent, my utilities, paying for food, and I constantly have to, ask my friends to chip in sometimes to help me pay for gas. So it's really already overwhelming. So I'm really, really annoyed that they're trying to cut my student loan deduction, my interest deduction from me.
That's related to this tax?
Yep. Yeah, so student loan debt, the interest on your debt can be deducted up to $2,500 per year. And that is a deduction that I've taken since I've been in school, and it's really helped me when it comes to be the springtime and I have some bills that are backed up on my credit card or I'm behind on my utilities. I'm able to use that to catch back up. And so I'm really nervous that this is happening at this point in my life because I'm finally getting a little bit more financially stable, and I was really hoping that, at least maybe I'd be able to save a couple pennies a month, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen in the next year.
So your interest rate is still 10%?
Yes.
How much do you have left?
How much do I have left of it? All of it. I haven't even finished school yet.
Like 20. So you're just chipping. Oh.
So I'm like barely scraping by. I've started to pay off a little bit of the loan, but it's like not enough to even pay the interest down. So it's going to continue to accrue. And what they told me is that by 15 years, which is the age of the loan, if they're estimating that I pay it off at that point, I will have paid back $80,000.
On a $20,000 loan?
Yes. Yep.
Welcome to America.
Thank you. Yeah. It's a horrible thing that's happening. I don't think that it's an American value to stifle the young people and kick us out of New Jersey by having high property taxes and then also these predatory loans like killing us, right? I can't afford to live here. I'm going to have to leave eventually if things don't change.
Wow. Thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you.
That is the future you.
Yeah, that is me right there.
She is repurposing these
Okay.
to hold the banner.
Oh, that sounds great.
Oh, perfect. I meant to try to grab some.
Hi, Dave.
Hey,
Good to see you.
you too.
Did it lay in? Did it lay in?
I didn't even try. I think I should do with you. But I understand that you had to ask in advance with this security and whatever, so.
Hey, Jeff. How are you? I'm good. I didn't get this one done.
I can't even refinance my loan because of all the laws that keep it all.
No, because
I called Discover.
I know. I was going to talk to you with Trump.
My credit's going up.
But I have an awful picture of MacArthur right here.
Like moving forward, but they still don't care.
I figure I'll use it on Wednesday.
Until I get out of school. So I'm actually.
How are you?
So I'm probably going to see.
Yeah, could you do that? That would
My
be
husband
awesome.
paid off
Would you like
his stepdaughter's college. She had it for years, and she would pay him every time he'd make a payment, and it was ridiculous. And he's looking at the loan and he's saying she's not making any headway on it, and she's a lawyer.
The interest just keeps going and going.
And she's a lawyer and she works for a firm, and it just wasn't going anywhere. So finally, he just paid the whole thing off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't want to share that.
Too late.
Yes, yeah, that's right. But please take it away. I didn't want to actually share anything, except with my other protesters.
Sorry. It's Facebook Live. It's sort of.
Oh, Facebook is probably.
She won. It's amazing.
Oh, hi again. How are you?
Oh yeah, I saw you at
Yes.
the town hall.
Yes,
Right?
I remember. Anybody want to stop?
Sure. Yeah, that was yours.
We have plenty of time.
to Barry because it's not mine. Sure. You just want us to say anything we feel like saying? Okay. Hi, my name is Carol, and I'm here to say no tax giveaways to the mega rich. This is nothing but a huge tax break for the super wealthy, the millionaires, the billionaires, the people in this country who do not need a tax cut. And it's extremely harmful to working people who in the middle class who do need tax cuts. This is, it's also giving an incentive to corporations to take their jobs overseas or to keep their jobs overseas instead of bringing the jobs home. So this is very harmful to our country, does nothing to stimulate our economy, and we need new policies that stimulate the economy, not take money away from the people who are hurting the most. And we need money for, to repair our roads, our bridges. We need money for health care for all, Medicare for all. These are things this country really needs to provide for human needs. Not just give it. This is really thievery, in my opinion. It is total thievery, taking from the people who need things the most and giving it to the people who have no need of anything.
Do you live near this area?
I live here, and I'm a MacArthur constituent. I live in Ocean County. I live in Brick.
And do you understand how this is an incentive to go overseas?
Yeah, because it's still giving tax breaks to the corporations, huge tax breaks to the corporations, and they're actually being rewarded for keeping their jobs overseas.
Can you explain that? I don't understand specifically how.
They get tax breaks. I mean, they don't have to pay taxes here. The bottom line is they don't have to pay taxes here because they've got their corporations overseas and their tax havens. They hide in tax havens overseas. And so the people in this country lose jobs and the country loses revenue. It's a huge revenue loss.
Thank you.
Which is adding to our debt, which is adding, to our deficit. It's increasing the deficit like tenfold. And
Do you think that this has a realistic chance of passing?
I hope not. I hope not. With this Congress, it's possible. It's very possible.
Do you think
You know what? I'm walking around.
the healthcare thing? It seems like Democrats are not going to vote for healthcare. The Trump care. Democrats are not going to vote for Trump care. Do you think it's possible that Democrats might join in to vote for this tax plan?
Some will, yes. I hope not, but the thing is, they're outnumbered. The Democrats are outnumbered in the Congress, so we have to have Republicans like MacArthur stand up and say, no, this is harmful to the country.
My impression is that health care can't pass unless at least one Democrat does vote for it, and they won't. At least it seems that way. But tax cuts, it seems like there are some Democrats that will support it because it helps their donors. So it seems like a lot more Republicans are going to have to stand against it in order to defeat this. I'm concerned that there are enough Democrats that can push this over.
It's possible. I mean, it is possible. But, I mean, that's why we're here to tell our congressman no tax giveaways, no tax cuts for the mega rich.
Thank you.
This was over 2 years ago. He sits on the finance committee. 25% of his bills that he's bringing has to do with taxation. He said he'd look into it. A few thousands of people who have to draw out of their retirement funds. Now I just got hit with a $7,800 tax bill on top of it. That's rubbing salt in the wounds. If you can't help a couple people from Sandy 5 years after the fact and cut them a little break on taxes, then he ain't doing the job. He's up for re-election, so let him enjoy his last year in office because he's going to be voted out if he keeps supporting all these issues.
Okay. Aside from protesting here, what other actions are you planning on taking?
Well, we're just trying to bring as much publicity. You know, the middle class is going to take a hit here. You know, and enough of the corporations are running this, and the one percenters are loading their pockets while the middle class are being bled dry. And it's going to hurt New Jersey after all. Last year, 366,000 people left the state of New Jersey. There's a reason for that. You can't afford to retire in New Jersey, and the middle class can barely afford to live in New Jersey. It's crazy. I'm also looking into Pennsylvania. Across the river, I'm out on disability. If they cut my Medicare, I'm not going to be able to hold on to my house. And I just fought for 5 years, and I'm still not back home. To me, that's ridiculous. I feel like I'm being treated like a third world citizen.
Are you from this area?
Beach Haven West.
Don't know where that is. Near here?
Manahawkin, Long Beach Island.
Thank you.
We are one of the groups that work with this.
If anybody would like to say something, please feel free.
Lots of things.
I'm not seeing anything up here yet. All right. Checking Facebook.
Would you like to tell your story? Okay. Actually, if you'd be willing to share this live stream, that would be great.
Okay.
Share this onto your
Sigh
groups.
out of my coat, but-
So this is a live stream on Citizens Media TV on Facebook, and if you'd be willing to share so people can see it, that'd be great. So what's your story?
Okay, my name is Carla Lounsbury. I'm a retired educator. I served in the schools in New Jersey, but I have friends who are teachers from all over the country. All of us spend several $100s a year out of pocket for supplies that range from pens and pencils for kids to lunches. And that teacher deduction, while not making the biggest change in our lives, is important to us, and it represents the fact that we are valued and we are looked at as professionals, and it allows us to keep continuing to do the right thing for our students, many of whom wouldn't have pencils and paper and notebook otherwise. So I'd just like to make sure that that deduction is still there. I'd also like to see that these hearings are held publicly in the time in which it would take to make a fully informed decision and not rushed through the way the health care bill was.
So the teacher deduction for $200 or whatever it is a year, they're threatening to take that away with this bill?
Yes.
My wife is a second grade teacher.
Yes, and there was a congresswoman who was online the other day in the hearing, and all of her questions were, would a teacher be able to deduct pencils? No. Would a corporation be able to deduct pencils? Yes. It's ludicrous. We all put our hearts in our pockets when we put our hands in our pockets to give to kids who don't have. I worked in an affluent district, but even for room decorations and after-school activities, teachers who work in less affluent districts, and especially teachers who work with children with disabilities, are always doing extra things for those kids. It's out of love, it gets done, but in the end, teachers feel that that deduction is a sign of our being recognized as the professionals we are.
So what else do you fear aside from taking away that one particular deduction?
I think that property taxes in New Jersey are already really, really high. I think that the incentive to be able to deduct property taxes to new home buyers is is great.
That's taken away. Oh.
If that would be taken away, I think the housing industry would really suffer. And ultimately, then the tax base would go down and it would sort of defeat the purpose. I'm kind of new to this whole political situation. I became reactivated.
November 8th last year?
Yes, that was it. And I just feel like everything is being done too hastily and without thought. And when you do things without thought, they will ultimately fail. People will suffer, and they'll have to be redone. I'd rather do it right.
That suggests that the people who want this are good faith actors and want what's good for everybody.
It would seem to. I don't know that that's true.
I mean, you're saying rushed, but it seems like they know exactly what they're doing.
Yes, they do know exactly what they're doing.
The rush is a design. It's not a bug.
Correct. The rush is to get it done before we wake up and before we really understand what's happening so that we lose our voice in this part of the fight. And we don't live in a totalitarian state. I taught 1984, okay? And as a school teacher, I think we are living in large parts in a big brother-ish society, and people should find it frightening. It's scary. We don't even know what we should be asking and what we may be losing, and we should know that. We are the proles in the 1984 society. We're 80% of the people, and yet they went about their business never expecting to be taken care of or looked after or to have change. And we shouldn't be the proles, because if we are, then we will get what we deserve.
There's one thing I'm interested in particular, which is with the healthcare bill, they needed all the Republicans because Democrats would not vote for it. But I'm concerned that with the tax plan, that significant number of Democrats may vote for it because it benefits their donors. So therefore, it's much more likely, this is my theory, I don't know this, but my theory is that it is much more likely that this is going to pass as opposed to the medical, Trump care would pass. So do you have any thoughts of that? Do you know?
I think that's unfortunately sounds like a good theory. I hope you're wrong. I hope the Democratic legislators have as many people in there, as many constituents who would lose from the deal, and that they would be as concerned with them. I don't know that to be true, but I'm hopeful that I'm hopeful you're wrong.
Well, it seems like MacArthur's going to be voting for it, that's for sure.
Well, of course he will. Of course he will, because he votes for everything that is self-serving. Okay? He is a very wealthy man, as are his friends, and it's hard for people like that perhaps to understand how a regular worker who depends on very small line items to exist can feel pain when those line items are taken away. He doesn't even know what they are.
You don't take the time to find out, then.
No, exactly. It's meaningless to him. And hopefully we can address that in 2018.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hate wearing glasses in the rain.
Anybody want to say something?
Economics does not work. We all know it. Trickle-down economics does not work, and we all know it.
Oh, it doesn't work for you.
Doesn't work for me as a middle-class taxpayer. It does not work for me. Neither will these tax cuts or this tax plan.
But they're not going to be able to give you a job if they don't get these tax cuts.
Pish. That's not true. And I think, sir, you know it too.
That was my point.
Where are you from?
I'm with Citizens Media TV.
Oh, okay.
I'm live streaming on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Consider sharing to put it out.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I shared that.
Thank you. Care to say something?
Sure.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Linda Fody. I'm the president of the Ocean County chapter of the National Organization for Women, and we know that this tax bill is not going to be good for women and families. We've been sold a bill of goods that we're going to get this huge tax break, but even if people get a little tax break, it's going to be eaten up by the lack of deductions that they're eligible for. I'm also really worried about the impact that it's going to have on Medicaid and Medicare. With all the money they're giving to the corporate folks, they're going to have to find it somewhere, and it's going to come out of those services. We have a lot of senior citizens here in Ocean County, and we also have a lot of people in nursing homes who eventually end up on Medicaid. About 60% of the folks in nursing homes are on Medicaid, so that's a really big deal for all of us here.
The Trump Care medical coverage didn't pass because it doesn't have any Democratic support, for a good reason. They needed, more than they needed less than 3 Republicans or 2 Republicans in order to pass it. They couldn't. I'm concerned, and I want to ask you what you think. It seems that it might be possible, more likely, that this tax plan might pass because Democrats want to please their donors just as much as Republicans want to please their donors. So Democrats might jump on board, meaning that more people will have to be, persuaded to not vote for it.
I don't know of one Democratic congressman from New Jersey who's supporting this tax plan. I don't know of a single one. They recognize that New Jersey's a high tax state, and that getting rid of some of these deductions will really hurt people here. It's kind of like the blue states are getting punished by this particular round of tax reforms, and I don't think any of the Democrats, at least from here, are going to vote for it.
Oh, good. I would be glad to be wrong with that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Want to say something? Okay. Told me to.
Yes, basically my mom told me to.
There goes your interview.
I'm here with Citizen Action, but I'm here for my family. My mother who takes medical deductions, my kids who take student deductions, my kids who take home equity and mortgage deductions and property tax deductions. I'm here for all of them. And we need to stop the insanity of giving it away to the rich to screw the poor. It's enough. It is enough.
Enough is enough. People
Enough. Laura, why are you here?
I'm here because I have a son with a chronic illness, and our medical deductions are outrageous. It's one of the few deductions that we have. I'm here because we have outrageous taxes. I'm here because I don't want to see the rich get richer and the middle class get poorer. And
thanks, Laurel. Thank you. Robin, why are you here? I am here to protect health care and state and local taxes.
Yes. Why are you here?
State and local taxes and health care. Thank you.
Dave?
I'm here for the same selfish reason that I do all of the resistance stuff, because I don't want to spend the rest of my life being ashamed of myself.
Yeah, there you go.
Yay.
I'm here today because I have almost $80,000 in student debt, and I don't think that the rich should get richer off of my student loans or my tax deductions.
Which started off as $20,000, so $60,000 in interest.
Yes.
I'm here because I care about real people, flesh and blood people, not corporate people.
I'm here because I'm supporting middle-class tax deductions for health care, for medicine, for my mother-in-law, for Jersey property taxpayers and teachers.
I'm here to say no tax cuts to the mega rich and stop the redistribution of wealth to the top 1%. There are too many people hurting in this country that need health care, that need money for, like she said, to pay off student debts, to help pay their mortgages. So stop the redistribution of wealth to the top 1%. They don't need it.
I'm a constituent. This tax is a scam, and we need to keep those deductions for all the middle class.
I'm here to stand up for democracy. The way that they're pushing this through, behind closed doors, all one-sided Republican voices being heard, no one else being heard, no expert testimony, no witnesses, no nothing. It's an abomination. It is the end of democracy if we let it be. And we're not going to let it be. That's why we're here.
I'm with Jeff. I'm with the Green Party, and we also oppose oligarchy, and we support democracy. We're all united here. Thank you.
I'm here to protect my Medicare. I'm disabled. I'm a single dad. I have basically tired of the tax cuts. We are number one in the country in property taxes, and now they want to put a cap on our deductions on the property taxes. 366,000 people left New Jersey because they couldn't afford their property taxes. The sales tax, the gas tax, that gas tax wasn't for the infrastructure. That gas tax was actually to finance bonds to pay off old debt, which will be paid off in 2045. It's ridiculous. They're taxing the hell out of the middle class while the number 1% corporations and the 1% get more and more of their pockets filled day by day at the expense of the middle class. I'm fighting for my future, my kids' future, and the state of New Jersey. I was born, raised here. I love this state, but you're leaving me no option if you keep hiking taxes the way you have been. And we bailed out Smith when he was with Goldman Sachs. Well, it's time for him to bail the middle class out.
What am I here for? I'm here for a number of reasons. The taxes that are going to put a hurting on the middle class, especially in this state. And I'm here for the health care, fighting for health care. Even though I have to pay $1,100 a month for my health care, people, need health care. And I'm also here for to fight Trump, and he should be impeached immediately for being a traitor to this country. Send him over to Russia.
All right, can everybody hear me? My name's Amanda, and I'm here today because there's no place I'd rather be than in the rain with you amazing and beautiful people. Woo! Because we've got to get the word out about this tax scam. Right now, Congress is working on something. They're calling it a tax overhaul, a tax repeal. They say it's a good deal for the middle class. You know who it's a good deal for? Them. Wealthy and corporations, not us, and particularly in New Jersey as a state with high property taxes. New Jersey is one of the hardest hit states by this plan, so we really need to talk about how the state and local tax deduction is going to make it hard for us. Also, they're eliminating the ability to deduct casualty losses from a disaster or a flood like Sandy, and New Jersey is a place that's prone to disasters. So that's just two examples of why we can't afford this plan. And I'm here with these amazing people to get the word out and tell Tom MacArthur to join other Republicans in the state and vote no on this plan. Yes. Yeah. Hey, why are you here?
I have a big sign behind you.
But we're sharing why we're here. Why is this important to us? You already shared. Okay.
I'm here for Medicaid. I don't want the cuts to our health care system, which is going to happen with the tax cut to the corporate taxes. They're going to get that money somewhere. So they're going to take it from Medicaid, Medicare, and food assistance, which we know in South Jersey is very important. We have a high rate of people in the lower middle class, and every penny counts.
Yep. Right on.
Instead of cutting taxes for corporations, they should crack down and make them bring all of their money back from these offshore accounts.
Yeah!
And pay their fair share instead of putting the burden on the middle class.
Woo! I'm here to let Tom MacArthur know that he is not representing his constituents well. He knows darn well that his constituents are going to pay more in taxes. He's a multimillionaire, and he personally is going to benefit from this. It is absolutely abhorrent that one dime is taken from the middle class to subsidize a tax reduction for the rich and for corporations, and that's why we're here today.
He's worth about 30 million, is that right?
More than 30 million. He's the richest member of Congress from New Jersey. Not sure how he ranks nationally, but he is a multimillionaire, and he stands and his heirs stand to benefit handsomely from this plan. So it's self-serving. It's not in the interest of his constituents, and we're here to let him know we're watching. We know what he's doing, and we're paying close attention.
I am here because I don't want the tax cuts for millionaires or billionaires. We need tax cuts for the middle class. We've worked our tails off all my life, and now I don't want to be taxed more than I was.
This national tax plan is clearly a tax on the working and middle class to give to the 1/10 of 1%, and we need to stop that.
I'm not only here for myself, I'm here for my children because student loan deductions, you take away property tax deductions, you take away mortgage, interest rate deductions. How are they going to be able to purchase a house? How are they going to be able to move on? I don't see it happening. It's so hard for them now as it is.
The time has come for more common sense. Common sense drove our founding fathers to revolt against the taxes that the kings and the rich people of England wanted to levy against the colonists. We represent the call for more common sense. Inside that building, we have millionaires telling us, we have a plan for you. Yeah, they sure do.
I'm here for my children and my grandchildren and my nieces and nephews. They're all homeowners and they're all steadily employed. They have trouble enough now making a living, getting by, and with this tax plan and all the deductions going away that they can now take, they're really going to be hard hit.
Hi, I'm from the Miller family. We've had, in the last 6 years, our family alone had a catastrophic medical issue. We needed the medical tax deduction where we wrote off a total of $130,000 inside of 6 years. We still end up having to move and size down 2 more houses. We used all the equity in our home. There's a whole lot going on where our quality of life, our health in this nation is under attack. And when I see now you can't deduct education school loans, there's the destruction of property values. If you can't write off your state and local taxes, then your real estate values are going down. People can't afford to own property. What I am watching happen in our nation is a destruction of our quality of life. And this is definitely a Ponzi scheme, this tax reform. It needs to not pass the way it is.
Thank you.
So you're nice and
Oh, God, yeah.
You know what the fact is? I actually am a Democrat, and I ran in the Democratic primaries for Congress here in the district, and I have a very good relationship with the congressman. I sit down and talk with them all the time.
Why are we all able to?
Because I didn't know about the event ahead of time.
Now, why didn't you know?
But
why didn't you
because
know?
it's done through the White House.
The problem
You
is
understand?
he's only inviting Republicans that are going
Bruce
to
Todd.
agree and applaud.
Yeah, I ran in
He's
the
not inviting
Democratic
somebody
primaries
who's
here in
gonna
the
ask
3rd
the
district.
about why
But
are
I
Republicans
always sit down and talk with the congressman.
Chief, let's be able to stay and talk.
That's
Have you guys been shut out? You guys been shut out? Can someone say what's happened? What has happened?
I think you had to register online, and I didn't know that you had to register online. It was just come down and see if we could get in.
When did you find out about it?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah, I saw it online. So.
Did they say it was invitation only?
Actually, I'd be lying if I said I read the whole article. I just read the location and where she was, and I have a son that's terminally ill, and I am a registered Republican, and I voted for Trump, and I wanted to see if he would look into the Orphan Drug Act, which is very important with people with rare disease, and my community is much more to the left and is against his policy, his tax. And that's what I wanted to ask her, if, they were going to look into that and make sure that they wouldn't hurt our Orphan Drug Act.
So you're saying that you're against this tax plan?
No, I'm not against the tax plan. I think it's a really good tax plan. I just am against anything that would get in the way with the FDA approving a rare disease drug to come through, the pipelines because of the tax.
Is that part of the tax plan? Is this what you're concerned?
50% cut with the Orphan
So the
Drug
tax
Act.
plan is good, but this one piece of the tax plan is
Yes, and I want
you
to
don't like.
also ask that, that they make sure the pre-existing conditions are in place for people like my son who has Duchenne. There's no real cure or treatment available to him. So, I look at people that are saying, they need coverage. He needs coverage for a pre-existing condition. And the waivers that they have in the United States for some of the families are very important that they keep those in place.
Do you think there's a chance that that element is going to be changed to your son's favor?
I don't know if... I have to believe in my heart of hearts that he loves his grandchildren and his family, and he knows the issues with children. So in my heart of hearts, I'm going to say that he would do the right thing for people in our type of situations, because it's not just my son's disease that, that you have to worry about. There's other diseases that are right there with us. So I would hope that they look into making sure that these type of things are covered and protect families of situations like ours.
Okay, so could I ask, setting that one piece, obviously it's a huge piece, but if just for a moment, setting that piece aside, you support the tax plan that he's going for?
I do. I think it's it's really good. It's good for the middle class. It's basically good for everybody all around in what I've seen in the generalization of it. I have a specific area that most people don't even, student loans and everything else, I have all that too. But, and I'd like to see everything get taken care of, but at the same time, we got to start with what we have to start with. But I think it's very important that we take care of our people that are terminally ill.
That I acknowledge that I don't understand that piece, and that's a huge piece. I know, but again, since I don't understand it, setting that aside just for a moment, these people think that the tax plan is not fair, aside from the medical, issues of it.
Yeah, I disagree.
You disagree?
I disagree. I really do. I think the cuts were good cuts. We're self-employed, we're hardworking, and
And you think specifically that this tax plan helps the middle class, not just the wealthy, which they're saying it only helps the wealthy.
Yeah, no, I think it's good across from what I understood of it, it was good for the middle class. It was a good tax cut for the middle class. It helped us. So, and I'm not smart enough to go into everything, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to sit here and debate them or whatever they think and what I think, because clearly there's signs over there that say about health care also. So, it's we're walking a fine line today.
I do know the gentleman in the red in the seat. He and his mom are I don't know how it relates, but he has not a terminal, but a chronic condition that he's fighting for as well. And I wonder how the angle you're talking about affects them.
I don't want to assume anything about anybody else's situation, but mine is we have to go in front of the FDA a lot with everything that we come forth with for treatments for our children. So when we get in front of the FDA, if there are things in place that will help us get through. I think since 1983, there weren't a lot of drugs that were passed through the Orphan Drug Act, and now, since then, I think 3,500 drugs have come through the pipeline using that orphan drug. So, I have it written down. Where did I put it?
I'm going to be here for a while.
Wait, I'll read you the question that I was going to ask.
Okay.
Okay, this was the question that
I have a feeling he's watching now, so go ahead.
Who? No, but if anybody would have a question, this was the question I was going to ask. I was going to say, my son has Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is an orphan disease. It is also a terminal disease with only one approved treatment that has minimal effect. In your tax bill, under rare disease research, a credit for 50% of the cost of clinical testing of drugs for a rare disease and conditions would be repealed. In the decade before the Orphan Drug Act, only 10 medicines were developed by industry for rare disease. Since 1983, however, more than 3,500 potential treatments have been designated as an orphan drug, and more than 500 orphan therapies have been approved by the FDA. This is a direct result of the incentive provided by the Orphan Drug Act, including the tax credit. And what is your opinion about this?
Great. And can you just define what does orphan drug mean?
Orphan drug is an unfamiliar. It's a loan. It stands, you know what I mean? It's on its own. It's an orphan drug. For what my son has, it's a rare disease. You don't see a large population of these kids, and so when we go to clinical trial, we don't have the 1,500 kids to participate. We have maybe 20.
It's rare.
It's rare. So.
All right, well, I hope you get the tweak that you're looking for. Thanks for talking. Bye.
You're going to have a bunch of legal immigrants running our state saying, orderly, we're going to smoke all the marijuana. But people like me who got PTSD can't even get it medically. My father's a pharmacist. He goes, medically speaking, he goes, that will help you.
What? You got they're not letting you in? Is that right?
Not yet. Hoping to see Ivanka, giving her these.
I sleep 4 hours a night.
So
I hope to give them to her soon, yes. Hoping for her to get let in. Oh, that she's doing a fantastic job. And that her dad is incredible. And we're glad to have her here at the Jersey Shore.
I'm surprised to see flowers today. So you support the tax plan that he's trying to pass, is that right?
I'm going to try to understand it more, which is one of the reasons I'm here. I don't believe everything in the media anymore for obvious reasons, so I wanted to come in. I didn't realize there was a list, so they said that they might still let some people in. So
When did you find out about this?
Last night in my email from
I found out about it early yesterday.
Tom Sugarpatch, actually, yeah.
So there's this debate here where the people in this line, I mean very roughly speaking, the people in this line think that the tax plan is a good thing and helps the middle class, and then we have the people over here that think that the tax plan only helps the wealthy. So where do you stand?
I'm hoping it helps the middle class. That's where I'm at. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions. That's why I think a lot of people came here today just to find out what's really going on, listen to what they have to say, give them a chance and not think negative right away.
So you're not sure, but you're hoping that it helps the middle class.
For the best, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck. I hope
I get to give
maybe if you stand around the other side or something.
Thank you.
See you. Actually, would you mind if I ask you one more question? You're happy with how Trump and Ivanka are doing. Can you talk about what are you happy about?
Oh, they're just trying their best for us. They're just trying their best. He's keeping his campaign promises and just trying their best for us, for our own country and our relations with other countries.
Anything in particular that has made you happy since he's gotten office?
Oh gosh, just his straightforwardness and his honesty and just how he is and how his family is.
Any disappointments at all?
Not yet. Nope, not yet.
You're happy with your vote?
Extremely.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Anybody willing to say something? So you guys.
Oh, no. No, thank you.
No problem. No problem. Anybody willing to talk? I'm with Citizens Media TV. Okay. Anybody willing to say something?
What is your news station?
It's called Citizens Media TV.
Sounds pretty fake to me. I'm sorry. Sounds fake.
I would like to say some. Why we here in the rain and they inside? And we stand over here.
They're not letting you in?
Tell them to open the doors if they want the people to come. Not to stand over here. They said 10:30. It's almost 12.
Do you think there's a chance that you can get in?
I have no idea.
You hope so.
We hope so. We're not opening the door to anybody because of security. That would be my idea.
How long have you been waiting?
2 minutes. Not long.
Well, I hope you guys get in. Are you happy with the tax plan that MacArthur's going for?
I don't want to pay tax for people that they come in this country and I have to support them. I work for my pension.
So you're happy with what the plan?
I'm not happy. No, I'm happy if they do for the middle class. Yeah.
The tax plan that he wants to pass, you're happy with? You hope it gets passed?
The middle class has to be before anybody. I say everybody. Everybody, but the middle class we work for. And no spending.
And so,
spend too much.
So this GOP tax plan that they're trying to pass right now, are you happy with that?
I'm not going to work and pay for the welfare people, support them. I'm not happy with it.
You're not happy with it? You hope it doesn't pass?
It should be more conservative and across the board.
So you think it? Are you saying that you think it benefits the wealthy more?
Good enough. No, I don't want it for the wealthy or the poor or this or that. All of us. All.
You don't think it's fair? You think it should be more?
Not the fair. Yeah, everybody should be not paying so much tax. Everybody. And keep out people that don't pay tax. No, they want to make the middle class to pay for them. Right. We don't like that. You think so? It's good for some and not others. So we're trying to eliminate that. Psychologically, we should all be together. We all should be doing well for it.
So do you? So
everybody should be getting a break. What do you call a break? In other words, eliminate the increases on everybody. Eliminate the demographic. Some do, some don't. Can't you? You know, it's split as it is, religious-wise.
Do you guys support Trump?
Yes. Yes, it should have And been we what Trump expect- is saying because and that's what we voted expect for. Everybody else that's in office to support him.
Well, I hope you guys get in.
Supported Trump because this is the president. They support Obama that he destroyed the country, and nobody did nothing. Oh no! Yeah, give me that. Yeah. No, I don't think so. You see this?
Can you show me that? It's a little hard to
Well,
show.
you don't want Trump? Stop this lie. What is it? Okay. Trump said he destroyed tax.
Can you? I'm curious. You say I'm fake.
Yeah.
What do you know about me that I'm
Well, that's the thing. I don't know anything about it because I've never even heard of Citizens Media.
So is there a chance that maybe I'm not?
There's a chance, yeah.
Okay. So if you support Trump, you voted for Trump.
100. Well, I didn't vote. I was too young at the time, but now I'm 18. I would have voted. I'm going to vote for his re-election.
What about this? The plan that they're trying to pass, the tax plan.
I support it.
So the people over here say that it only benefits the wealthy. Some people over here say that it doesn't just benefit the wealthy.
People don't understand the trickle-down effect, really. When you give tax deductions to the rich, it's called Reaganomics, which most people, they don't understand. You do that, they create more jobs and everything. More jobs, and they can pay you more. It's the trickle-down effect. It's been working Reaganomics. It's just simple like that. So that's all
So, okay, so trickle-downomics works. You give money to the wealthy, it trickles down.
Down to everybody, yeah.
And it gives them, and this has historically worked. And this is a genuine question. I don't know. Trickle down.
Ronald Reagan, if you've seen Reaganomics during his era, the Reaganomics was based on trickle-down effect, and the economy was obviously great then, wasn't it? You should know.
I actually am not that familiar.
All right, well, the Reaganomics was the trickle-down effect pretty much, so that's where they would do the tax cuts to the wealthy. It's the same thing here pretty much.
So, devil's advocate, argument. So instead of giving it to the wealthy, how about $15 minimum wage?
$15 minimum wage. All right, that's a huge problem.
That's we're talking about even the
No, I
top,
understand,
or we're talking on the bottom.
The trickle down effect is more of a controlled route, where at $15 an hour straight up, that's basically like you're just all the costs are going to go up. The cost of living, because $15 an hour, everything's going to be more cheaper. The companies are going to have to lay people off to afford those, like McDonald's and all that, and then all the prices are going to go up. All the foods and everything, it's just going to go soaring through the skies.
So so you're confident about the trickle down works. So what do you base your, if we give people, the goal here is to benefit the middle class, right?
Yeah, of course.
So if you give it to the wealthy, it has to take time before it gets to the middle class. That's fair.
Not too much time, but yeah, it does take time.
But some time. But if you give $15 an hour minimum wage, that immediately goes to them. Maybe it's not
It immediately goes, but then shortly after, it will harm everything. Because $15 an hour, you're basically taking what we have, $8.35 or something like that now, and you're basically just raising that, and you're raising all the prices. Because everything's got to keep up. It's not going to be easier to live at all. It's just going to be.
So I'm asking you. You're very confident about this trickle down working. What do you base this not working on the other side on? How are you so confident with that? What are you basing that on?
Well, all the statistics that I see about everything. If you just look it up and everything. You get it from Fox News, not just Fox News. You go around, you got to piece things together and everything. You just research, really. You got to look around. Yeah.
So let me ask you an unrelated question, if I may. You voted for Trump. You're happy with Trump. You think I have power over the Secret Service?
You the one to put on the television.
She thinks I have power. Let him in, would you?
Great interview here.
Okay, so you voted for Trump. You're happy with Trump. So what is the most important thing positive that Trump has done that makes you happy?
Positive thing. Well,
makes your vote, that you're happy you voted for him.
Definitely the immigration reform and everything, and how the wall is getting built. You see the prototypes and everything that U.S. Customs has showed us, and the 90-day travel ban. It's gonna go up. That's really good. I like about him. The tax plan. Hopefully that comes out. Healthcare when he makes his own. I've just been impressed with everything he's doing. He's been doing everything he's promised so far, from what I've seen.
Okay, so the other side of the question, which you pretty much just answered, is there anything that he's done or not done that is disappointing?
Disappointing.
Based on his promises, based on what you're...
I wouldn't say disappointing. Obviously I'm not going to agree with 100% of the things he are, because you can't be blinded to everybody, but I'm not really disappointed in what he's been doing. I might disagree on something he's done, but not disappointed, no.
What is the biggest thing you've disagreed with?
It's a good question. In reality, I don't really disagree with most that he's done so far. There's 7 more years of him to come, so we'll see if anything comes up.
So you know he's going to get reelected?
Of course, I'm going to vote.
What insider information do you have here?
What was that?
What insider information do you have that you know he's getting reelected?
I just know, you got to think about it.
Okay. All right, thanks for talking. Do you guys mind if I ask you some questions? Yep. You don't want to. I'm with Citizens Media TV.
Citizens Media. I thought it was CNN.
Oh, no. Citizens Media TV. So, you said no, don't talk. Okay, that's fine.
What is it going to be televised?
I'm live streaming on Facebook.
Oh.
I'm live streaming on Facebook. Do you think you're going to get in?
It don't look that way. It looks like it's all reservations for in there.
I only found out about this yesterday morning. When did you guys find out about this?
Yeah, I did too. Somebody was on Facebook. A friend of mine.
So you think there's a chance you guys are going to get in?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
But you guys voted for Trump?
Definitely, yes.
And are you guys happy with what he's been doing?
Yes, very happy. I think it's easy to coach from the sidelines. I was just here to show my support for the administration and just let them know that there are people that believe in them and know that he'll make the right decision for people, for the working class, and for people who can't help themselves. So I'm totally convinced of that, and that's what I'm here to support.
So let me ask the two sides of the question here. So you voted for Trump. You're happy with Trump. What is the biggest thing that he's done that has validated your vote, that makes
I think he's doing what he can to keep his word, and his whatever promises he made, I believe that he's working on that to keep his word to all the people. That's what
Drain the swamp. He's totally draining the swamp.
I think the swamp drains itself. To be honest with you, that's what I think.
They're giving him a hard time.
Yeah, I think
It's too bad.
I think the swamp will drain itself because the bad is going to come out and the good is going to come in, and he's going to see that.
And what about the other side? Is there anything in particular based on his promises or whatever that has disappointed you?
So far, no. Until he's done in office, we'll see. He's only been in office for a short time. Let's see what happens. 1 year is not enough time to determine that.
Okay, so one last question for you. His appointments, and I'm going to be open that I'm not a supporter. I don't dislike him, but I'm not a supporter. His appointments regarding draining the swamp, like Steve Mnuchin, for example, who's right inside the building right now, do you consider that, do you consider that draining the swamp or hiring someone like Steve Mnuchin?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that one, to be honest with you. So I'm not going to give my opinion.
Okay. I'm actually not that confident to go back on it, but that's the general question. All right. Thank you for talking. See you.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. Can I ask you some questions? Sure. All right. I'm live streaming on Facebook and Citizen BDTV.
Sure.
So do you hope that you're going to get in, or do you think you're going to get in?
Get inside. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the holdup is. Is the room packed or something? No one else allowed in.
I can't answer the question. I only heard about this yesterday. Did you? What about you?
Yes, that's right. We heard about it just recently too. So we came over to see if we could get in, and it looks like there's room for us, but I don't know what the holdup is.
So you guys voted for Trump?
I was a Trump voter, yes.
And are you happy with your vote?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything? Well, what's the biggest thing that he's done that makes you happy that you voted for him?
Basically,
he's been in office for almost exactly a year.
Well, yes. So far, President Trump has kept his campaign promises. Okay, he got rid of the TPP, which was a bad deal. He got out of the Paris Climate Accord, which he said he would do. That was a bad deal. He got Neil Gorsuch appointed to the Supreme Court, which I think was an excellent appointee, which he promised to do, to get a good, solid conservative to replace Antonin Scalia on the Supreme Court. He accomplished that. He's done a lot of deregulation. He's brought some good deals back with automakers to the country. Got the Keystone Pipeline going, and again with American steel. We're seeing the lowest unemployment rate in 16 years. We're seeing a GDP of 3% for the first time in over 8 years. As far as the rest of the narrative involving the president goes, there is absolutely no proof whatsoever that he's done anything wrong or illegal. And this is really a lot of nonsense. And I think it's very un-American that a lot of these people that are calling for his impeachment, to impeach a president, he has to have committed high crimes and misdemeanors. There is no proof that Donald Trump has done any of those things. So I think what we should do as Americans, whether you're happy about the outcome of the election or not, we need to come together as a country, as a people, and support our president and each other.
Okay. And do you think... Let me ask you the other side of the question. Is there anything that Trump has done that has disappointed you? Or not done?
I can't really say that there's anything so far. I think that he's doing a good job. I haven't seen anything that I would say is a real problem so far. He's, like I say, he's kept right on to his campaign.
He's kept his promises. He's drained the swamp. You feel like he's drained the swamp?
It's going to be a good trick. It's not going to be easy. You have a uniparty.
But has he? But okay, I got to be honest with you. I don't dislike, but I'm not a supporter.
It's okay. It's fine to have.
So regarding the draining the swamp, do you feel like his appointment, such as Steve Mnuchin, is right inside this building, is that a drain the swamp kind of appointment?
Well, that's kind of a ridiculous question. You're asking apples and oranges. When he talks about draining the swamp, he's talking about draining the deep state that's been there through many presidents. Presidents come and go. The deep state stays there. Look at the career politicians that you have that have been there so many years. Steve Mnuchin's not a career politician. He's a businessman that's taken a cabinet appointee position to help the country. So you've got to ask me a question that's not apples and oranges.
Okay, so let me try and reframe the question then.
How can you get somebody to jump out of the swamp that isn't part of the swamp?
I define it more broadly myself, personally.
Because you think he's a capitalist and you don't like that. So you think he's on some sort of a different plane or whatever, it doesn't agree with you, and so you see him then as a swamp denizen. How could that be when he's talking about the entrenched political establishment in Washington, which Mnuchin is not a part of? Now, you might not like him, but that doesn't make him part of the swamp.
Well, I'll tell you my opinion, which is, yes, there's a political swamp, but there's also just the greed swamp.
We're broadening the definition now. See, because that's you. You see,
that's
you
my
asked
personal
me about,
opinion.
But you asked me about Trump draining the swamp, and at no time did President Trump about draining the swamp ever broaden the definition to what you're saying. See, that's what you want to do. You want to broaden it out into something that it isn't, and that's not what it is. So you got to stick to exactly what he's saying. When he says he wants to drain the swamp, he's talking about the career politicians,
swamp,
established people in Washington. That's correct.
Okay, so he's draining I'll say the political swamp, which is what I think you're defining it as, which is fine. But still, do you like the philosophy of appointing someone like Steve Mnuchin? You're okay with that?
I think that he's been appointed because he brings a certain skill set to this. Now, let's give these people a chance, and let's see if their policies work. We have checks and balances. He can't do anything on his own. It's got to go through Congress. It's got to go through the Senate. It's got to be agreed on. These people are trying to formulate policies that they think is for the good of the country. Now, if you don't agree with it, that's fine. You might have your reasons. But it doesn't discredit him in any way, no.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So just one last question, which is the tax plan. I assume you support the tax plan?
So far, I think it's a start. Let's put it that way. It's a start.
Okay, so these people over here believe that it benefits only the wealthy. Some more people over here believe that it benefits generally everybody.
The facts that I've heard so far would seem to contradict that. Okay.
One, I said two things.
It benefits the wealthy because actually, if you look at the plan, the only people that aren't getting a tax benefit are the wealthy. By that I mean the wealthy are already taxed 39%. That's up to the first 1.2 million that they earn. Okay? After 1.2 million, between 1.2 and 1.6 million, they get taxed 45%. Okay? Then after the 1.6, it flips back to 39%, which is already the highest tax rate in the world. So, one, they're not getting a tax break, okay? And so I'm not sure I understand that argument.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you for talking.
Thanks, Joe.
Bye-bye.
There he is. How are you, Jeff?
All right. So? Okay, no problem.
Tell me where you're from.
I'm from Citizens Media TV. Now you have. I'm on Facebook.
I'll look you up.
Please, that's what it looks like. Thank you.
So how can we take a look at this? This is like a live stream?
I'm on Facebook right now. Just
Yeah,
search Citizen Media TV on Facebook, and I'll be open with you. I don't dislike Trump, but I'm not a supporter of Trump. I'm actually a supporter of Bernie Sanders.
That's fine. Listen, one of the important things, we should have discourse in this country. It's good to disagree. It's good to hash out ideas.
I disagree that it's good to disagree.
Well, this is what we have to have honest debate, Jeff. Honest debate. That's what we need. Okay? And so long as we have that, we'll always eventually we'll come to the right things in our society, okay? But anyway, so this is live, right?
This is live. I'm on Facebook right now, Citizens Media TV.
So can I check this out later? Is it going to post somewhere where
it's already there now? People are watching us as we're talking, and I mean on like a 30-second delay or whatever. You could share it to your groups, or whatever. I actually personally find it very important to talk with people who really disagree with me. I've been to three Trump supporter rallies. Being open with what I believe in, and it's one of my favorite things that I do.
Yeah, and this is what we need. And of course, no violence. Some of these things that are happening in other areas of the country now, where it turns to violence, is really bad. That's a really bad thing, and that, we have to have civil discourse, like you and I are having right now. We don't have to agree, but we have to be able to talk to each other, right?
I think so. It was nice talking with you.
Same here, Joe.
All right, see you later.
I'd like to get in just for that reason. Oops, sorry.
Sorry.
I'd like to get in so my parents.
Is there anywhere? May I ask some questions? Do you mind? So I'm live streaming on Facebook. So do you get the impression that you're going to be let in?
Well, this lady, my new friend, just said that she talked to the cop and he said the Secret Service is doing their Secret Service thing, and when they're done, if they
Servicing secretly.
decide that they may allow more people in. So we're hopeful. We're optimistic.
When did you find out about this?
A minute
just
ago.
went up.
I mean about how. When did you?
7:30 this morning.
Oh, you just found out about
I
today.
found out last night. I just came back from Iceland, and when I got off the plane, I had a text from my son-in-law telling me about it. So
I found out on a Facebook.
She gets the award for traveling the farthest.
Just to see Ivanka?
Well, I live in Brick, which isn't too far, but yeah.
But you flew directly here to this
Well,
building.
I flew into Newark
last
last
night.
night.
Right.
Yeah. It was the end of my my
Ivanka's
visit.
going to be there tomorrow. I got to fly home now.
Yeah.
Well, I came from Morristown, New Jersey, which is Burlington County.
I live in Maple Shade.
Oh, okay. I saw it 7:30 this morning, and I was like, I don't want to go because it's miserable, but I don't want this tax plan to pass.
Oh, so you're okay. So the people in this line have generally been Okay, so you're for the tax plan.
Yeah, I'm for anything now.
Okay, I'm against the tax.
And you
We're
got.
getting along.
Well, we're getting along fine.
But you live in Morristown?
No, I live right
He
here.
lives here.
Okay, I was going to be surprised if you lived in Morristown.
Yeah, because it's real estate. But I'm not upset about the real estate tax because I'm under 10,000. I live in a townhouse. I'm upset about we can't deduct over 10% of our health care costs because I pay $860 a month for health care.
Right, so I'm glad that I
Thank
have
you,
two
Barack Obama.
polar opposites here. So let me ask you a question.
I believe it's really just the messaging. If you don't have the right you don't know how to show the right message.
Yeah, he's more open.
You have a big time.
He's open.
Well, let me ask you. So we have some people over here who think that the tax plan is good for everybody. All these people over here believe that the tax plan is only good for the wealthy. So you support it. So what do you think?
I think it's a good plan for everybody. Only because she's going to raise what's the minimum? It starts off at $24,000 before they start taxing you. You know, most of the people who don't want tax reform don't pay taxes anyway. You know.
You think that they don't pay taxes? That's what you're saying?
I bet you 90% of those people want all the free stuff.
90% of those people want all the free stuff. So if I go over there and I ask,
Take a poll. See how many of them are on welfare.
so give me a question, and I'm going to go over there and ask them.
The tax plan is not finalized yet.
No.
Any tax plan will be better than what we have now.
Exactly.
The people who benefit now from our tax plan are the super rich.
And you think that this tax plan, or the GOP tax plan, will benefit the super rich less?
There is no GOP tax plan at this point. There is what the president would like, there is what the House has, and there is what the Senate has. So there is no tax plan yet. When they get around to finishing it, then we can make an intelligent decision about whether or not it's good. But if they leave the tax deduction at 10 grand, that'll help 90% of the people.
Okay.
And it's only the rich. The rich don't pay their fair share. They have all the loopholes. It's the middle class working family that pays everything. And people who work for a living are tired of paying.
And do you think that this GOP tax plan, or whoever is currently designing this plan, is going to improve the situation for the middle class?
Yes, I think it will.
Okay.
Yes, I think it definitely. It'll for the working class.
For the working class. Okay. So
No, I was
By yourself.
My health insurance cost me almost $20,000 a year. It did. It went up. I was even on the board of the company that I worked for, that every year, 10, 15, 20% increase after Obama came in. I was paying. I got to say, paying $12,000 a year, went to almost $22,000 a year.
Did you
That's
have, like,
that's
that-
not fair.
and then could you go see anybody? That sounds
Oh,
like
you know how many times?
But I don't want
No.
to spy on your conversation. I want to
That's okay.
forgive me. I want to ask you. You said something.
Well, how many people over there
You
are
said
on welfare?
90% of the people over
Probably.
there. Hold on. You just said 90% of the people over there just want free stuff.
Yeah.
Give me a question. that I'm going to go over there and I'm going to see.
How many people are on free
I'm
stuff?
going to see, because you're pretty much slamming pretty hard on those people over there, and I want to see if it's true. So give me a question, an actual question that I should go over there and take a poll.
How many people are on free stuff?
What does that mean? Define that.
How many people take food stamps, welfare, health insurance for free?
Food stamps, welfare,
health insurance.
Health insurance for free?
Sure they do. If you're on they get. You ever see New Jersey Kid Care and all that other stuff?
Okay, so food stamps, welfare, free health insurance. Any other thing?
$1,000 a year.
Make less than $30,000 a year? Okay, so food stamps, welfare, free health care, and they make less than $30,000 a year. Housing assistance.
Gas and electric assistance.
Now, do you think that you seriously think 90% of the people over there are going to say yes to all of those things?
Those people ain't going to say that.
I'm not asking. All right, I said what they're going to say. Do you think that the truth is, for 90% of the people over there, that they're on welfare, they have food stamps, they pay less than $30,000 a year, they have housing subsidies, they have free health care? Do you think that that's actually true for 90% of the people over there?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
I'm going to find
I
out.
don't really care. Yes.
And ask how many of the senior citizens that are over there have their property taxes frozen.
Senior citizens property taxes frozen. Okay, I'm going to see if I can remember all this. All right, thanks. You just gave me a challenge.
That is extraordinarily expensive. You'll be affected by it. It's insult to injury. The medical deduction should be a no-brainer for Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, liberals. Why would you take that away?
Thanks, Ray. Hey there, my name is Priscilla Robinson. Some of you guys know my story already. I'm a student at Stockton, and when I started school, I didn't have access to good credit, and I also didn't have access to federal student loans because I was considered non-independent at 23 years old living on my own. So I had to suffer and accept a $20,000 loan with 10% interest. That was the only money available to me with my credit score. And so now, by the age of my loan in 15 years, I'm going to be paying off $80,000 in student loans. The thing that really frustrates me is that the student loan interest rate deduction is what really helps me pay for things that I really need. I have to go to therapy for mental health issues sometimes, and that's something that the deduction at the end of the year is I save that money for an entire year of access to mental health services that aren't covered by my health insurance. The other thing that I really need is food and rent money, and with the deduction being cut, that's something that I really look forward to. It's $2,500 that I could have in April every year that I can put away to protect my dignity and my security. And so to see them try to cut that is the worst thing that I could possibly see. So I want to put people over profits. Do you? Yeah! Woo! Anybody else? Yeah, anybody else? Jeff, do you want to speak? Go ahead.
There's a lot of things that are at stake right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we as a population have not been taking care of for a long time. And that has allowed them to take more and more and more. And because we have not stood up to say stop, they've been able to get away with it. We're not doing that anymore. I'm supposed to be at work right now. I had to negotiate to be able to take time off to be able to come here at the last second for an invite only with my U.S. representative who represents me. That is not right. That is not right. At this moment, everyone is scared. And you should be scared because they're coming for you. Because they don't care about you. They don't care about anyone that isn't like them. They don't care about you if you don't make over $1 million. They don't care about you if you're I'm sorry to say, if you're not white. They don't care about you if you're a woman. They don't care. They want what they want. And what do they want? Everything! Everything they can get their goddamn hands on. That's what they want. And we have to stop them. It's up to us. It has always been up to us. And we have been asleep at the wheel. And now we have to be awake. But there is always hope because we outnumber them. We outnumber them. If we stand up, if we say no, then it's no. They came for our health care. We said no. We put a stop to that. They're coming for our money in the form of tax cuts. Is anyone feeling they're going to get a tax break on this? No! The rich are going to get the tax break, and we are going to get lip service. And what does that buy us? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They want us to wither and die and beg them for more. I'm tired of looking to the rich, hoping that they'll do the right thing. It's not up to them. It's up to us. Yeah. So let's get busy. Let's get to work. Let's make sure that they in there understand where we're coming from. We want to survive. This is our country. We were born here, we live here, we're going to die here. But we're going to do it on our terms, not theirs. You've got to vote. You've got to register.
In the last election,
We got
to get out and get them out of there. They're getting too comfortable, and we had the lowest turnout in that election.
Absolutely.
If you don't speak up, nothing's going to return from it. You got to get out there and open your mouths, recruit your friends, and vote these idiots out of office.
I want to ask something. I would like to ask something. You could easily get angry with what I am relaying, and I'm asking you just to answer the facts without getting angry at the obvious bias in the questions. I was just talking with some people over there, and I said these people over here believe that the tax plan is going to benefit the wealthy. And he said, and I'm definitely not revealing who, but they said I would expect that 90% of the people over here are on food stamps under 30. I'm asking you to listen to the facts of what I'm saying. And I'm 90% of the people over here are getting free stuff. So I would like to ask just to raise your hands, just factually.
Well, let's just reframe the question. So we're taxpayers, and America is a place where we believe in giving people a hand up when they need it. So if there are families that need food assistance because they've hit hard times, that's part of what our tax dollars go to. So that's not free stuff. Neither is Medicaid or neither is Medicare, right? Neither is being a veteran and you get access to the VA. We have a society in which, you get Social Security when you retire. We don't kick our citizens to the curb. We stand up for each other. And so that's what we're doing here today.
Would it be accurate as a devil's advocate to say that the people who disagree with this tax plan are those who depend on the free stuff and make less than $30,000?
I don't think we don't say free stuff. I don't know what free stuff is. I would love some free stuff. I don't have any free stuff.
I'm relaying. I'm not saying my own thoughts here. I'm relaying.
So the problem is that in New Jersey in particular, especially middle-class families are going to be hit hard by this tax plan because the House plan really reduces the state and local tax deduction that you can take. And the Senate plan, I think, totally eliminates it. So what that means is there are 4 counties in New Jersey, for example, where your minimum property taxes are higher than what you can write off in this current tax plan. So because New Jersey is a high tax state, and I bet those folks over there are also paying high property taxes and potentially don't even know that this tax plan is going to cut their ability to deduct it, this plan hits New Jersey incredibly hard. So between the state and local tax deductions, which is called SALT, the casualty tax deductions, if you lose something in a flood, we just had Superstorm Sandy, a fire, some disaster in your home, that's being eliminated. Student loan taxes are being eliminated. So there are a lot of tax breaks that many people in many income brackets count on, and those are being taken away. Meanwhile, people that have an estate that's over $5 million that they're passing on to their children, that used to be taxed. In this plan, that's being eliminated. So we're talking about a really unfair tax plan. No matter what your income bracket is.
I agree with you, but I'm still trying to relay on. I'm still trying.
Here's who's against the tax plan.
So, but that was the assumption.
Sure.
Right.
But I think people don't understand. We're here for them.
And you know who's against this
This is not.
Against the tax plan.
This is not my view. I'm making clear this is not my view. I'm trying to relay.
You want to know who's against the tax plan? His Republican colleagues in Congress. Congressman Lance, Congressman Lobiondo, Congressman Smith. We are not here as people on food stamps and as having handouts. We're people here who believe that our government should work for us and work for the people, not for the corporations. And this tax plan will have us lose revenue, and we'll be looking at making up $1.5 trillion. And where's that going to come from? Cuts in Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, the ACA, education, veterans job training. All of that is under threat because of this. And if you think we're on food stamps, go ask Congressman Lance. Are you on food stamps, Congressman Lance, in Hunterdon County? No, he's not. He's saying, I can't vote for this in the state in which I come from because too many people are going to be harmed. And I am tired of the us versus them. I have a job. I'm here today. I'm not a paid protester. I'm here today because I'm here for my kids. I'm here for my grandkids. I'm here for my 91-year-old mother who needs that deduction. It is ridiculous to think that we're here because we want a handout. We're here because we want fairness. This is not fair. Tom MacArthur needs to join his colleagues and vote to turn down this tax plan.
All right, so a less incendiary devil's advocate, one other thing, is was hearing from another gentleman over there who was saying that trickle down is what we need, and you don't give $15 an hour. So address that.
I heard this
Trickle down is the only thing that works, because if you give $15 an hour to all the workers, then prices go up and all that.
I heard this morning a great thing on the radio, okay? And I'm not an economist. I'm just a regular person. But what I can say is this. We're in an age where interest rates are at historic lows. Corporate profits are at historic highs. We do not need a tax cut to stimulate more corporate profits so that they then can trickle down to the service industry people and all the people who are working at the lower job levels and the service industry. That's never worked. There is no historical evidence of that ever working.
The quote was, "It's Reaganomics, and Reaganomics were great."
I lived through Reaganomics, and Reaganomics weren't great. And they didn't hold, and what happened to our country? The divide of wealth became bigger and bigger. And that is not what we need to return to. How about equity? How about we have
It's faith in the wealthy as opposed to faith in the people.
That's right. That's right. We need equity. We all work hard. And we all deserve a fair tax code. Let's have a fair tax code.
Thank you.
I just want to introduce this point that people are complaining about supposed handouts to people that don't have. Well, AT&T gets $38.1 billion in tax subsidies. Wells Fargo gets $31.4. J.P. Morgan gets $22.2. This list goes on and on. You never hear about this. And if you hear about somebody who's on public assistance or whatever, and they went and they bought a pack of cigarettes that's like the biggest thing in the world. He had a lobster dinner. No, we're giving the money already to half of the largest corporations don't pay any taxes at all and get subsidies from us, but you will never hear it on the types of information networks that they receive their information from. And that's the problem. The fact that the fairness doctrine was done away with, and all you get is 100% right-wing radio, and the corporations own every one of the networks, so you're never going to get any sort of realistic, true knowledge of what's going on. And I just would like to tell everybody that if you do want to know something about what's really going on, watch Tom Hartman, and he'll set you straight, and he's on the Free Speech Network.
He actually is the person that turned me from a Bernie fan into a Bernie activist, Tom Hartman.
Okay, good. Good for you.
I want to ask you another question. I'm done with devil's advocate because that was too intense. The health care, Trump care, didn't pass because they didn't have any Democrats.
Right.
I am concerned, and I don't know if this is true, but my theory is that the tax plan has more of a chance to passing because Democrats and Republicans want to please their donors.
Right.
Do you think that that's true? Do you think that this has more of a chance of passing?
I don't think that the Democrats will break because they'd just be too obvious. There'd be too few of them. And I can't see, other than this guy, Jersey Republicans supporting this because they're getting knocked out of office once people realize that they sold, blue state people down the river. We get 74 cents or 72 cents on the dollar back in the taxes we pay to the federal government. And the red states, there's one of them gets over $2 for every dollar they send. And once information like that gets out, people in New Jersey are going to go, this isn't like sports, because a lot of people think of this as like my favorite team, and it shouldn't be viewed like that. It should be what is the representation for me? Is it in my best interest, or is it, am I just rooting for the uniform, for the laundry? You can do that in sports. You really can't do that in politics. It's a whole nother game. You got to look at what's happening and see, does it benefit the general public, and vote it that way. But I really don't think that you're going to get any Democrats to jump. I think it's just too risky for them.
That's good news. All right, thank you. Thanks. I'm sorry I brought that up to the crowd. I should have brought that up to you.
No, it's fine with the crowd. But I just, you never want people like, we all fall in hard times, and, it's hard to ask for help.
That was wrong to bring it up to the crowd. But I'm glad you responded. But it was specifically, I bet 90% of those people on there are getting. The term is free stuff, but he means something by that.
I'm sure that all those people over there are also going to be hit hard by this tax plan. I promise. Yes. I promise. One of those deductions is going to hurt them. So we're fighting for them too.
Some were saying it's a duplication of benefits. Some were saying that they should.
Yes, because you pushed yourself.
Yeah, I worked hard.
My husband.
Yeah. No,
I shouldn't have said it to the crowd. Yeah. I should have said it to someone like a leader.
Well, you know what? I was getting ready to speak next, and I was going to speak about Lance and Smith and Lobiondo. It's not just us. It's not just your typical protesters, right? There's a lot of people who are against this, and that was just the set-off.
I'm glad. For a moment, I was like, she doesn't think that I think this. No. I shouldn't have said it to the crowd as a whole. That was a mistake. You guys want to say something? Or can I?
What is the?
I'm with Citizens Media TV. Laurel and Susie and Rosemary invited me here today.
I'm actually so cold right now. I'm gonna warm up before I.
If you're going to be 70, then you were born after Harry Truman. Right. That was the last time before that.
Yes.
I just hear interesting stuff, man.
Sorry, we're just talking about politics.
We're just talking shop here.
The thing is, we were talking about the 2016, which I'm sure you love to talk about because everybody does.
What press are you from?
I'm with the Citizens Media TV. I was actually a Bernie delegate in 2016.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, well, that was one of the things that we were discussing here is that my wife and I, her older boy,
who's a Democratic socialist, belongs to the DSA. He's the type of millennial that it was Bernie or nothing. So now, we had this ongoing argument that I said to him, that I would argue back and forth with him, that you have to take little steps. So they did not, once Bernie was out, they did not want to vote. So they did not vote for Hillary. So in many ways, all the other things that were stacked against the Democrats, that was one huge thing, along with all the other things, and that's why we have this nightmare that's happening right now.
On the other hand, though, I mean, here's the thing. There's, like, if you ask why didn't Hillary win, there's like, that's one thing that would have made a difference.
Right.
But there's like a half dozen other things.
Yes, absolutely.
If that still happened, but if
the 8-year thing,
if Hillary had gone to Wisconsin and Michigan, that maybe would have made the difference. If there's tons and tons of things that you can name as being responsible. So there isn't any one thing. But like we were saying, essentially in any of our lifetimes, there's only been one time that one party held the White House for more than 2 terms, and that was Reagan and Bush in the 80s. And we were, despite that, we came really close to doing it again. So it's not.
That's true.
And there are people who are looking at that defeat and saying, this clearly shows the Democrats are on the wrong track, and we need to completely revamp everything we do. No,
it's not true.
That's like saying the Atlanta Falcons should fire their entire coaching staff because they lost the Super Bowl by 3 points.
I'd like to follow up with something you were just saying. They didn't vote for Hillary because why?
Well, because Bernie was their choice, and a lot of certainly my stepson and a lot of his contemporaries do not believe that the Democrats are doing things in their best interest. They're tired of the Democrats doing the same old playbook stuff.
Do you find that a reasonable point of view?
Certainly, I would like to be as progressive as possible. I don't know that that's reality, but
I would argue it might not be reality because people like you say that it's not reality, and so therefore I won't vote for it.
That's my stepson Zachary's point of view, and his contemporaries. They feel like enough is enough, like Bernie was saying. So if the Democratic Party doesn't move more to the left and become more progressive, then it's just going to be the same old jazz. Even if we do win next time around, which is a good possibility, it's just going to be the same old Democratic Party. We need newer, fresher people with fresher ideas.
You were just saying a moment ago that don't take too big of steps, take smaller steps, right?
That's my own personal view because I'm old, and I mean, even though in my day, I'm a Vietnam vet. I came home and there was demonstrations, and civil rights was flaring, and there was just craziness going on, and we had a good opportunity to really move even more in a progressive direction, but we didn't. We went part of the way, and then just for whatever just faded away. Now with Trump and this crime family that's in the White House, along with a lot of people in Congress on both sides, Democratic and Republican side, who are in the pocket of big money. Anything you read economically by any intellectual who really knows what they're talking about will tell you that this is the new Gilded Age, and I believe all of that. But how do we get there? I mean, is my stepson's way and the way to go, or is baby steps the way to go? I don't know.
But ultimately, I think you agree that the destination is what you both agree on. It's just the speed on getting there, right?
I'd like to get there as soon as possible, for
sure. It sounds to me like you're contradicting yourself. You're saying I want to get there as soon as possible, but we have to take baby steps. But because you say you said that you're old, so you're afraid.
I would go with my way. In other words, like this gentleman said, if the Democrat in the 3rd District, who's horrible, if he wins and he goes up against MacArthur, as horrible as he might be, I'm going to vote for him. That's the point I'm trying to make.
If he's horrible. Is that what you're saying?
He is horrible.
Which one? I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
I forget that he mentioned to me the fellow's name that
Andy Kim?
Oh. No, not Andy Kim. You have to ask him. He knows. And he was saying, and I agree with him, if he wins the nomination to go up against MacArthur, he's going to go out and get bumper stickers, and I will do the same thing. I will go out and vote for him because he's a D and not an R.
Okay.
But my stepson and his contemporaries would not do that. They would either stay home or write in whoever they're going to write in.
So there's one side of it of defeating the bad, and there's the other side of it is let's finally get what we deserve.
The old playbook of the lesser of the two evils.
Lesser of two evils is one side of it, and the other side is let's finally shoot for what. I am a huge Bernie supporter. I was a delegate at the DNC.
I could ask you, did you vote for Hillary when Bernie didn't make it?
I did vote for Hillary, but I regret it, and I wouldn't do that again.
But who would you? So you would have stayed home. So Trump would have had an even bigger win. I mean, I don't know. You know, that's the dilemma that we're in right now in this country.
But why did we have that dilemma to begin with? Why did we have that choice?
For a lot of reasons.
So from my point of view,
gerrymandering, the electoral college.
How about
the media,
what responsibility does
Russians,
what responsibility does the Democratic Party have?
In what way? I mean,
in enabling a situation where Trump is possible.
Well, mobilizing the base. They have to get people out. Turnout is such a horrible thing. I mean, you said in retrospect you wouldn't have voted for Hillary. You would have stayed home, or maybe wrote somebody in, right?
I made the decision after vote. I voted for Hillary not because I liked Hillary, but as an anti-Trump vote.
As the lesser of the two evils, right? I mean,
correct.
You have to say that.
See you later.
I mean, a lot of people don't want to really admit that, but I think that's what it is, you know.
Wait, well,
as the lesser of the two evils.
But my point of view is, my voting for the lesser of two evils enables a situation where campaigns, where parties can say, I don't have to worry about pleasing him. All I have to do is point to someone that's worse, and then I'll make them vote for me. And it forces me into a position where I have to vote for less two evils. So therefore, no, I would choose to only vote for someone that I like, as opposed to dislike less. And so you could blame people like me for Trump, or you could blame the party for putting us in a situation where we have to choose between two abusers, which I know is an exaggeration, but you get my point.
I do understand your point. And the other thing, here's another important point. That when not to try to get into the minutia of it, but this down ballot theory that they have, where there's several people on and you vote. You're probably aware of this, right? Where if there's several people on and who gets the higher percentage of the vote is the one that actually wins that district, and then you go from there. So we have the whole electoral system is really, really bad. I'm probably preaching to the choir. You're probably aware of it. You know, I mentioned gerrymandering and the electoral college. The electoral college is just an absolute travesty, really.
I agree that it's a bad thing, but if we had a really good candidate, it wouldn't have been a factor.
No, but the system as it stands now, along with the gerrymandering, allows bad candidates and even somebody like this criminal Trump to get in. You know, so I mean we're politically in a bad way in this country. You know, when you talk to I had a conversation earlier. I still work part time, and so some of the young people that I work with, when you question them about are they, during the last election, are you engaged? A lot of them don't even vote, don't even know what's going on. So we need to educate our people. I don't know, better or more, comprehensively, so they'll become good citizens and actually vote. You probably voted the first opportunity you were able to vote, right? How old are you?
I'm 46.
I mean, I'll be 70 on my next birthday. I voted from when I was able to vote. You know, at 18
but I wasn't. I was not awake, politically aware, until Bernie Sanders.
Oh, really? So you weren't prior to that?
Well, no. I voted, but it was just blindly Democrat because that's what I was told to do. But I was not awake.
But at least you were still voting. You know, at least
I was voting, but it was just because people were telling me what to do. But now I'm actually Bernie Sanders woke me and many other people up.
Bernie was terrific, and I support any progressive because I'm a progressive at heart.
So what if he runs in 2020?
I would vote for Bernie.
Too old?
No, I was saying I'm too old.
No. I'm the devil's advocate of him trying.
No, I think that if as long as
that's what they're trying to frame him as too old.
As he's physically able to do it, and he has all his wits about him, which I I would hope that he does.
It certainly seems to. My theory is maybe he is too old. Maybe he will die in office. But I'd rather have a good guy die in office than a horrible guy last the whole term.
Well, I mean, there's no doubt about that. That's a no-brainer. But I think another thing that we have to do is which is so important, is the grassroots part of things. Like number one, we got to get this guy out. And I think what's his name? Kim? Is that who's going to be running?
Andy Kim is.
You know, and I think hopefully he'll win the nomination because he sounds, from what I've read, the little I've read about him online, he seems pretty progressive, and hopefully, I mean, I don't know.
Well, I
don't know what he's going to come up against because this guy MacArthur's got big money behind him.
Well, I'm actually, one very good thing about Andy Kim is that he just swore off corporate, or I don't know about corporate, but PAC money, PAC donations.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be difficult, right?
Well, it is going to be difficult, but he's actually for the people. So that, by definition, at least to a significant extent, means that he's not going to be a lesser of two evils.
You're right. No, I agree with that 100%. You're 100% right. So,
but actually, I believe the other candidate that you're talking about is Fred Laverne. He also swore off, or I don't know if swore off, but he also was only getting from individual.
From Indivisible said to me,
Fred Laverne was the one that ran last time.
Yeah.
And actually, I personally have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah. He said he was saying kooky things like he wanted to reduce districts, voting districts to I don't know, some crazy number. I don't know.
75. Oh.
Right.
He's actually. Well, actually, it's.
You think that's a good idea too?
No. I'm not saying good or bad. I'm saying that he has a lawsuit against the United States.
Yes, that's the same thing.
And it's actually an extraordinary concept.
Yeah.
It's an extraordinary concept. It's called Article the First, and
I'm have to educate myself on him.
It's called Article the First.
Yeah, Article the First.
And it's a rather complicated thing, but if it passes, then it will give power back to the people.
We're all for that, right?
It's basically the Congress is about 500, 450, or whatever it is. And there is an article from the Constitution that was already passed, according to this lawsuit, that got confused through history, and therefore, even though it had already passed, the interpretation of it got misunderstood, and so our Congress should actually be around 6,000 people. And if you have a Congress of 6,000 instead of 500, then that gives the power back to the people.
Yes.
So actually, you want to encourage this.
Well, I agree. I agree with the basic premise. It's like, why should a state like California that has, I mean, California is like a country. There's 40 million people in California. Why do they have 2 senators, right? And Montana has more cattle than they have people. Like, I'm saying the whole system is just so messed up. You know, we're dealing with an 1850s, system that needs to be, because when you look at both coasts, the blue states support the red states. I mean, we're the ones where everything is happening. And I mean, I don't want to put down the states in the middle of the country. They're beautiful and all of that, but not too many people want to live there. There's not much going on there, you know. So,
I just want to follow up with one last thing about that. So the number of people per district is about 700,000 right now. I'm telling you, it's about 700,000.
Yeah.
And if this lawsuit succeeds, which is unlikely, but it's certainly reasonable, then it's going to go down to about 60,000, which brings power back to the people. Because you can bribe 450 people. You can't bribe, at least for the near term, 6,000 people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Have you read and done anything with the Paradise Papers?
I've heard of it. I'm actually not familiar with what it is.
That's exactly why trickle-down won't work. Because all the corporations already are in tax havens in this country, Jersey or something, and they're paying no taxes there. Just because they get a tax break here doesn't mean they're going to use it in the United States. If a tax break to corporations were based on actual jobs created, that might be a better alternative than just giving them more money to put in more tax havens.
This trickle-down thing goes back to Reagan. It's been tried, and there's no empirical evidence that it works. It's just an absolute joke. They did it most recently with Brownback.
There's a lot of empirical evidence that it does not work.
It does not work. Yeah, I'm sorry. He certainly was part of it.
He
yeah.
broke the.
Yeah, he
that was the
certainly part
beginning
of
of the end
Yes,
of the union.
yes.
And when
And Clinton consolidated the
Clinton
media.
helped the
Clinton
Clinton
consolidated media.
And the problem with Clinton was that he started a process that he thought was going to be continued because he didn't want Republicans to only have the elite, but unfortunately they went the wrong direction and they forgot about the middle people.
But this supply side thing that's been around since Reagan started with a guy named Arthur Laffer. I don't know if you know. Anyway, it's been most recently tried in Kansas by Governor Brownback, who was in Congress at one time, and it was so bad that the Republican-led House had to start to raise taxes because their revenues went down to nothing, and the schools, the fire, all the services were being eroded away. So they had to raise all the taxes because of what Brownback tried to do. So it's an abject failure. They know it, but they can fool a lot of the people who just don't read. They don't read anything. First of all, the people that voted, or they have an alternative, plan of deceit, and that's those are the only two reasons why you would vote for any Republican. Either you're wealthy or you just don't know. One of those two things. I don't know. There's no other way to describe it, right?
Well, it was. Thank you.
Same. My name's Joe. What's your name?
I'm Jeff.
Jeff. Pleasure.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. You can look this up.
Okay, I will.
I'm actually live streaming. I'm live streaming. Yeah.
Oh, you're live streaming?
Yeah.
Good. So you're going to be on.
It was nice talking
on
to you.
TV. We'll see you later.
Bye.
We're going to be on the computer, not on TV, right? It's not cable, right? It's
On Facebook.
No,
It's
Facebook.
on Facebook.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Well, good luck.
Bye.
Maybe more of a fundraiser.
Thank you.
I'm
Jeff.
Nice to meet you. We'll talk.
I'm Jeff Epstein, Citizens We Need TV. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
We'll keep you updated about our next action.
Great, thank you.
They didn't get in either?
What?
They didn't let you in?
I didn't ask to go in. I was out here with you guys.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good night. Good day. Thanks for talking. Giving me a chance even though. All right, it is over and it's freezing and it's wet and people are starting to leave, so I'm going home. Thanks for everybody for being with us.
Yeah.
Phone is wet and I can't feel my finger pressing the finish button, so you got some bonus time.